All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and featured titan today, Lindsay Mann-Emerson. Lindsay, I got to give you a fist bump. Thank you so much for taking the time. It's an honor.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here with you.
I can't wait to dive into your story and for everybody out there to really get to know you as a person, as a professional, above and beyond. I'm just so excited. But let's just jump into the questions if you're aware of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess let's just start with telling everybody a little bit about yourself.
I am not a Colorado native.
Here we go.
Secret's out. I'm about as close as I think most of us get. It's rare to meet a native anymore, but
so
I've been here since I was 6 years old, so pretty close.
That's about as close as it gets.
Very close, yeah. So I grew up in Aurora and Greenwood Village, so I live in Parker now, but I've always kind of been around this like southeast metro area.
Love it.
Part of town. I'm a mom of a 9-year-old.
That's awesome.
And if I'm not working, which is rare.
The truth is coming out, everybody. This is great.
Then you probably, if it's the summer, for sure you'll find me on the lake or camping. And if it's wintertime, just hanging out with my friends and family.
And I really appreciate you mentioned that. And just so everybody knows, we were potentially going to shoot this episode on a boat. So, we missed that opportunity, but maybe another time, maybe episode 2.0. But, obviously that's really, really cool in your background.
Yes.
So when it comes down to what got you into the business and the passion behind that? I mean, what was your story and progression into that, Lindsay?
So I've always loved real estate, and I've not ever done anything else, which is kind of wild.
Wow, this is huge.
So my entire family is in medicine in some capacity.
Okay.
And when we moved to Colorado, my mom would take us to the Parade of Homes, which is different now than it used to be. It used to be a few builders showcasing the best, unbelievable houses, the craziest technology, absolutely beautiful. Wow. And we'd go, and I just loved to look at them. And that turned into this just love of homes, where when I was in high school, I would go to builder model homes on the weekend and just wander around and look at
That's great.
Decorating ideas. And I was 17 years old. And I walked into a sales center, and I was getting ready to graduate high school and go into college. And I said to the woman across the desk, how do you do this for a living? How do you become a salesperson? And it was just very fortuitous, and she might be watching. She's an incredible woman. She's my kind of mentor into the business, but she happened to be the VP of sales for a national home builder.
Wow.
And she was hiring an assistant, and she gave me a chance when I was underage and very young, green, and just brought me in and mentored me in the business. And I spent 6 or 7 years on site with that national builder. Wow. Before I decided to go out into the resale world. Okay. And I've been here ever since.
Unbelievable. I mean, obviously, at a young age, having a passion and a desire for, the real estate world, it's not super common. Anybody out there, I mean, most of the time it's not something, well, when I grow up, this is what I want to do.
Right.
I mean, you knew it.
I did. It just fit. I'm entrepreneurial by nature. And I got lucky finding an anchor in something that I really loved really young, and it's been great. Wow. I don't think I'll ever do anything else.
Okay, so, and I hope not, and we're not trying to scare anybody out there. This won't happen. It's going to be this way forever. But when we go into the portion from leaving the builder and then going into, the other realm of your business to where you're today, what was that like for you, and what was the path in that?
It was a wild journey. So I went from being in new home sales, and I did everything in new home sales, from being out on site in sales to being in sales management to being inside the office. I worked with that same mentor to develop one of the first online sales programs in the entire United States. So that was like really when the internet was becoming a real thing, and when people very first started looking for homes online and needed someone to guide them through the process to get them to the sales center. But then the market changed, and I had a newborn, and I was living in North Aurora, and I was commuting to a community down in like way south Colorado Springs.
Wow.
And it was an hour and a half of driving each way, and I was like leaving before he was up and coming home after he was in bed, and it was really hard. And on top of that, you know, the crash happened. This is 2010. So it was tough. I could sit in my sales center for 3 weeks at a time and not see a human being. So yeah, it was hard. So I went into the resale side, and I went straight from new homes to REO, which if you don't know what that is, it's real estate owned properties. So I was listing properties for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and HUD, and couldn't have been more different if you tried. So brand new, beautiful homes in the best communities all over the metro area, to literally walking through drug houses and having to evict people, and it was scary. I didn't think it was scary then. It was just the way that I needed to make a living, and I got my bones in the business that way, and I was learning. But now I look back on it and I'm like, there was some situations where I like literally had my baby on my back and we were walking through some pretty scary places that maybe I wouldn't go again today. But yeah, it was, you know, and then that market changed. I mean, that's the one thing about this business. It's like they say about the weather in Colorado. If you like this business, wait 5 minutes because it will change.
You heard it here, straight from Lindsay.
It moves a lot. So, you know, it changed again, and REO stopped, and we all had to reinvent ourselves on the regular resale side. So here we are.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, that's a beautiful progression, and obviously the knowledge basis and the credibility and longevity of your career, it speaks volumes out there to anybody who knows you, works with you. It's just impeccable reputation, and you know, you wouldn't have gotten to where you've gotten to right now without all of that learning and education and growth. Yes. And I just think it's fantastic. And again, you know, not everybody's created equal, everybody, and there's a reason why Lindsay's on this show as a Titan. Above and beyond, this is a perfect example of what you need to look at in a true real estate professional. My opinion.
Thank
and
you.
I'm a lot of people that are out there that are watching and listening. So with that being said, you've seen a lot of change, you've had a lot of growth, obviously hit so many different goals and things in your career, and really that heavy level of entrepreneurialism. What's your why, Lindsay? I mean, what motivates you, what gets you excited every day to do what you do to the level that you do it at?
This is a tough question for me. And, you know, really at the end of the day, I love people so much. You know, some people collect cars, things of all natures. I collect people.
That is the best.
I love them. So it's very, 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 I mean, I still talk to the first person I ever sold a home to, and that was 18 years ago. So it's very rare for me to not have a relationship with people. I don't think a lot of people who aren't in this business realize how intimate it is. You're in people's closed spaces, you're in their family, you're literally looking at the skeletons in their closet. So it's a very intimate relationship, and I just love that really deep connection that I get to make with people. So for me, it's just, you know, helping as many people as I can, whatever that looks like for them. I want to be significant. I want my son to be proud of me. And I just want to help as many people as I can.
I don't think there's a greater, you know, why and driving force than what you've explained right there. It's about others. It's not about us. And you know, it's not about the paychecks, commission checks. However, it's really making an impact and a positive. You know, bonding with these people, because that's what we need in this life. It is real, honest, genuine professionals who care. Talking about your son, I mean, I'm guessing that he is proud of you, and
I hope so.
I would really strongly agree. And if you're watching this, your mom's amazing, so this is really great stuff. I mean, but I think that that's a really tall tale into who you are, right? Is to really break that down for everybody out there, that you do care about others. And again, you've had the career that you've had thus far because of that, in my opinion. I think that's huge. So going into the next segment, and this is actually a crowd pleaser for everybody out there. The newer or seasoned professionals that tune into this particular series, they want to learn from the Titans. They really want to understand what you guys are doing or have done to grow and scale your business. So the next question is, if you could look back at your career thus far and pick or choose one or two things you added to your business, took it from one level to the next, what's that look like for you?
The first thing definitely for me was taking Bold. So Bold is a Keller Williams class. Cool. I actually didn't finish.
Gary Keller, if you're watching or listening.
But I was just in my 12th bold round, but then some life things that came up, so I didn't get to finish it. But so I've been through bold 11 times. Wow. But that was a huge life changer for me. And it helped me grow my business, but it was really more about mindset. So my family, who I am super close with and love dearly, and I'm sure they'll be watching, my grandparents were Holocaust survivors, and they literally went through just about the worst thing that could actually ever happen to somebody. And so we grew up in an environment where there was a lot of scarcity and fear. And bold was the first peek into abundance living that I'd ever seen, where someone told me that I was allowed to want more and allowed to push back against fear and allowed to be bigger. Wow. And it changed my life. So the first time that I went through it, I soaked up some of the stuff, the Kool-Aid, as we all call it.
Yes, that's right.
So I soaked up some of it, and some of it I was like, this is way too weird for me. But the second time that I went through it, it really just clicked in my head and it changed my life. You don't have to be a Keller agent to take that class. Yep. So that is something I would recommend to anybody. It was absolutely life-changing for me. Love it. Having a really strong peer group of people that I can talk to and connect with and brainstorm with is really important for me. I have friends. You've had some of my close friends on your Titans show before. But, so those women that I'm close with have been instrumental in my career, being able to share and bounce things off of. So I call real estate the island. Especially when you come into the business on your own, it can be really, really isolating because it is a competitive contact sport. Right. It isn't a collaboration, and so it can be really difficult to find somebody that you can talk to and trust and bounce things off of. So that's been huge for me. Wow. And coaching has been really big in my life too. Okay. For sure. So
when you're talking and breaking that down as far as coaching is concerned, are you hiring or have hired organizations or direct coaches for that sort of thing? And is it a direct real estate coach, or is it just business coaches, or
both? Okay. So I do have a MAPS coach through my company, through Keller Williams. Okay. And I do have what we call a PC coach, or productivity coach, who's in my market center, who's absolutely incredible. Wow. And then I do actually work with somebody privately on just all the other components of life. So the spiritual, the mental, the physical stuff too. So I do it all. I'm a big fan of personal growth.
Listen to these beautiful nuggets, everybody. This is amazing. And I love the fact that you had mentioned, taking courses, things like that. You mentioned bold, surrounding yourself with great professionals and peers. There's so many people out there that would love that or have thought about it, but they're nervous about reaching out because they do feel secluded, like they're on that island, as you said. But listen to Lindsay. What she's saying is so perfect and so beautiful. Reach out, have that collaborative mastermind settings with people that you either, are on that level or you look up to, right?
Absolutely.
I think that we should always be growing and learning and collaborating. I think that's phenomenal. And last but not least, just to reiterate that for everybody for note-taking purposes, getting to that level when you bring on coaches and people that can look at you as a professional or producer with unbiased, perspective is so useful.
It's a big deal for me. We study the DISC in real estate, which is a personality assessment. And so I'm a high D, which is driven. I'm a high D, so it's difficult for people in my life to hold me accountable. I hold myself highly accountable, as most highly driven people do. But the minute that I got into a space where I was with somebody that held me accountable and held my feet to the fire, things really changed for me, because I'm used to kind of being able to skirt that stuff, and that really pushed me forward. So coaching is incredible.
Love it. Huge advice, big takeaways. Pause it, rewind it, take notes. Reach out to Lindsay if you need anything. She is an amazing resource for sure. Hopefully I didn't throw you under the bus that way with letting people reach out, but I think that's crucial in the community. So I do want to shift gears. Now, this particular question is the tricky part of the interview in the series. It's the challenge question.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, I always lead into it this way. We all have challenges in our lives, whether it's in the past, now, or into the future. No one's exempt. We all have to struggle and go through in those learning experiences.
Absolutely.
But I really find it's not so much what happened, but what we learn and we can take away and then share that really does matter. And not to downplay the struggle or the pain, whether it's personal or professional. So Lindsay, if you're comfortable sharing a challenge with everybody that you dealt with, please do.
I definitely think life is an alchemist. And alchemy is like a mythological, an alchemist was a person who could refine any type of metal into gold.
Very cool.
And that's been true for me. My life hasn't been easy. I mean, I know people, I'm embarrassed to say that my life hasn't been easy because there are people that I know closely who have been through so much worse than I have. But, I've been through stuff just like everybody's been through stuff. I'm actually in a big transition year in my life right now. And, last year towards this time of year, I had some of the hardest stuff I've ever had happen to me personally happen. So it's hard. It seems like every time you get your feet underneath you, life kind of grabs the rug and yanks it.
Not yet.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
yet. More to learn.
Exactly. But it is interesting. Every time I've gone through something that's been really difficult, a new me has come out of that, and I've been refined out of that for sure. So, I was told that I was strange and difficult and would never amount to much and wasn't worth listening to. And I think anybody who's a high achiever on any level has been through some really rough stuff, and they probably have a chip on their shoulder that they're pushing past for sure. So that was the first thing that happened to me in my life where it was like, I don't believe that about myself. So no, I'm going to push into something more. And this year, this time around, going through this fire that I've been going through again, really, has made me take a step back and look at my priorities as a person and as a mom and, in my family. And I'm excited to see what comes out of that fire again this time. But, anyone that I've ever met who's a high achiever in any industry, they've gone through some stuff. I don't think you get anywhere unless you have.
Agreed. And I think that that's a humanizing portion of all of us. It comes down to those challenges, but what you've said there I think is absolutely beautiful. Every time you've dealt with a challenge, you've really looked at it and come out of that fire and become a better, stronger version of yourself. And I think that really pushes us to do so. And you didn't let it defeat you. You didn't have that mindset of, all right, or that person that was saying all those terrible things, which are completely wrong. You didn't believe it. You didn't let them limit you to what you're doing. You pushed past it. And that's a huge message for everybody. It doesn't matter what challenge it ends up being, if it's relationships or health reasons or financial struggles. I mean, look at the lesson to be learned. Do the best you can to get through it. Surround yourself with great people.
Yes.
And you'll come out from it stronger and better, at least perspective to share with others. And I think that's crucially important. Lindsay, thanks for sharing, because it's not easy to air your stuff out in front of everybody, but I think it's a really important segment to this for people to get to know you a little bit.
I mean, life happens to everybody, and it's really tough, but it's not an option to give up in my mind. So you have to keep going. You don't really have a choice, and you can choose to lay down and let life walk all over you. You can choose to stand up and keep going. And there's in my mind, there's not really a formula for top producing or for success. Right. Most top producers, and I know a lot of them really well, we're the hardest workers in the room, and we're the ones that just refuse to quit. I mean, it doesn't matter how many times you kick us, we're going to keep getting up again and again and again and again and again. So I think that's really all it is, because life sucks and it can be really hard.
Yes, that is well put. And I literally had a conversation about something similar today, where you were talking about really the things that we deal with and then pushing us down, but then getting right back up again. I think it's crucially important, but that's a mindset, and you don't just wake up and have that positive mind. It's an effort. It's
absolutely
right. I mean, and to me, at the end of the day, I think that we'd all be better off if we were looking at it from that standpoint. It's not the easiest thing, but it will make your life that much better for it. Is looking at that positive side into it, not to give up. So, but I love that. I mean, again, thanks so much for sharing. It's not easy to do, so hopefully everybody appreciates that. I want to shift gears and go to a slightly softer question.
Yes, sir.
This ends up being the travel back in time. It's one of my favorites. So if you could travel back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice or two, any time frame, any age range, what would you say to younger Lindsay?
I would tell myself that it's okay to be me. That is, something that I've struggled with my whole life.
Sure.
I'm different than my family. I was different than most of the kids growing up. I was really entrepreneurial, like at a very, very young age. I was always extremely driven. I never really fit in with the girls because they were interested in different things, but I didn't fit in with the boys because I'm not one of them either. And so, it was a constant, lot of years trying to find my place, and I am my place, and it's okay for me to be who I am. So that's what I would say to anybody really is there's magic in being you.
I think that's beautiful, advice to give, and everybody out there, myself included, to look at that. And it's easier said than done for a lot of people out there.
It's hard, and I'm still learning it.
Everybody should be, but I think that the trailblazers, the mavericks, the people that are really stepping outside and being an original, they're the ones who are making the impact.
Yes.
So I guess to that, the sooner we can come to grips with that and really be happy and live with that, the sooner we can become the best version of ourselves, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's brilliant advice. Everybody out there, it doesn't matter what business background you have or how old or young you are, that's huge. So great advice onto that. I want to go into the next portion of this one is a crowd pleaser as well. And a lot of the viewers and subscribers really, really get excited about this one because they want to learn the same way the Titans have learned.
Sure.
Right? So it's the feeding the mind portion of, books you're reading or read, podcasts you're listening to, influencers, coaches, things along those lines. How are you feeding your mind, Lindsay?
I spend probably every penny that I have on personal growth.
Oh, yes. That is the best investment.
I mean, I think, I'm hardcore about it. And, my family makes fun of me for it. Everybody makes fun of me for it. It is what it is. I have coaches. I have a therapist. I've got all the people. I read 52 books a year, so I read a book a week.
Yes. That's amazing.
I would read 2 if I could train this ear to listen to one and this ear to listen to another because I love learning.
Yes.
I'm a huge student of personal growth in life, so I'm reading all the time. My friend Megan, my new neighbor, actually just turned me on to podcasts recently.
Awesome.
So there's some really good real estate podcasts. Everybody that knows me knows I love Tony Robbins. I'm like a hardcore Tony Robbins addict. I'll be doing Unleash the Power Within in November. I'm super excited about that. But so he has a podcast that's incredible. I listen to the Titans podcast.
Oh gosh, thanks, Lindsay.
Yeah,
you're on it now. You're on it now, so this is awesome.
Episode 122.
Yes.
So I mean, I'm always reading or listening to something.
Okay.
All the time. I have lots of favorite authors, lots of favorite people. I love Grant Cardone. Tony Robbins is a big one. John Maxwell is huge for me. I just finished my second time Necessary Endings, which is one of the best books I've ever read.
Wow, I love
so I'm always digesting something.
Okay, and I love the fact that you're mixing it up from physical books to listening to podcasts, but then actually traveling and being with these people.
Yes.
Learning from some of the best and brightest minds out there, I think is brilliant. And the fact that you're reading that many books a year, take note, everybody, because the more you learn, the more you earn. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's such
so
a reality.
True.
I think Warren Buffett reads 8 hours a day.
Yes.
And he's a billionaire. He does what he wants. But I think that just take baby steps into it if you're not constantly doing that. Think about things that you're passionate about and then just dive into them, and it won't feel like work. I know a lot of professionals that they just don't like to physically read. Either they're slower at it or their mind goes elsewhere.
Yes.
So listen to it.
Yeah.
You're driving to work, or to an appointment, or you're at the gym. I mean, there's so many different ways to consume. YouTube is a great source. Some people just like to absorb, motivation or inspiration or thought process through YouTube.
Yes.
So I love that mix of how you learn.
Your brain is a muscle, and you can work it out the same way that you go work out your body at the gym. It's just you have to do it. So if reading is hard, the more you do it, the easier it will get. I do listen to a lot of audio. I wish I could do more.
Yeah.
I love to learn.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. I think it's huge. Learn and grow. Everybody, I'm going to have, as always, list in the comments down below so that you can learn and grow the same way that Lindsay's doing, or at least hopefully if you can try. I think that's really important to go. Lindsay, this has been chock full of so many great takeaways, whether you're in real estate or not, as a business professional entrepreneur, just advice, thought process, really getting to know you. It's been wonderful. I want to finish everything up with a final question.
Sure.
That ends up being the quote or mantra that you live by that sums you up as a person, a professional. What's that look like for you?
Oh my gosh, that is probably that one's so hard.
Here's the zinger.
I know.
Here it comes.
Pressure makes you fresher is something that I've always said. It's just so silly, but just the idea that you can keep pushing, just keep pushing through all the stuff, just keep going and keep being refined by every challenge, and you'll get better and better. And that's, I think, really what we're all after, is being the best version of ourselves that we can be at the end of the day. So
I love it. Beautiful way to wrap this whole thing up. And Lindsay, that sums you up so beautifully. Pressure makes you fresher. I think that's there. Yeah, hopefully you trademark that or something. I don't know if I've heard that one before. You got to use that as a hashtag. But it's been wonderful. You are an official Real Estate Titan, Lindsay.
Thank you. You're incredible. Thank you for having me.
It's an honor, absolute honor. And everybody, thank you so much as always for your time and attention, your love and support. If you like what we're doing here with Real Estate Titans, please don't forget to throw us a like on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and have a listen on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcast. Live every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody in the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.